Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fuel Radio. On the line with me today is Leah Grove. Welcome to Fuel Radio, Leah.
Thank you, Rod. It's great to be here. Happy to have the chance to chat with you today.
Yeah, we've been trying to organize this for a while, and we finally got it together.
Yeah.
I It's funny. I mean, this happens on social media once in a while. That I come across someone, and I go, "Oh, that would be a really interesting person to talk to." I'm resonating with what they have to say, and it was actually your Instagram account. I know lots of people kind of post, um, they post different things, they post sayings and that sort of thing. And it's like, yeah. But I really connected with the things that you say, and they seem to be, your Instagram account seems to be uh, authentic. And I thought I would just read a couple here. Uh, you asked the question, how do you want to feel? Anything that costs you your peace is too expensive. And so a lot of these things are original with you. And then you have some great quotes as well. um, the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. That's William James. um, this is great. I love this one. Oh, this is probably a quote from someone else too. Be the reason someone feels heard, seen, and supported. So I could go on and on. So um, on Instagram, it's Leah underscore Grove underscore. And on there, you mentioned that you provide authentic soul care. You're an empowerment guide and spiritual director. I'll just read a little bit of your introduction here. Leah has experience working with women in all stages of life. She's a holistic mindset coach and a certified spiritual director companion. She will help you connect to who it is you were designed to be. Leah has in depth experience with many aspects of recovery. Through your time with her, you will uncover, discover, and discard the things that do not serve you and learn to embrace the things that do. She's passionate about helping women let go of perfectionistic ideals and begin to live a life of freedom and joy. Leah looks forward to the opportunity to journey with you and to hold sacred space for you. So very, very well written. That's a great introduction. And I think that's probably the basis, the foundation of our conversation today.
Yeah.
Could you tell us? I mean, there's so many, coaches describe themselves in so many different ways. So, what is a holistic? Let's start with a holistic mindset coach. What does that mean?
So I will disclose, Rod, that I don't really love the term coach
Yeah,
for the industry of, those helping others with specific different niches to, be their best selves. It does fit in the way that I wanted to journey with others. So,
yeah. It's interesting. I'll just interject here. I'm with you. Like, it's
yeah.
coach and even spiritual director, and because I have my spiritual director. I both. I don't have coaching certification, but I've done plenty of coaching. I've gone through all the training. I just need to do the enough hours to be a coach. And then spiritual director, I am a certified spiritual director, but I'm uncomfortable with both terms. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm with you on that.
I so appreciate it. And that's where, even with the director piece, I like to add companion.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a journeying with someone in what you just kind of read, in providing sacred space for them. The holistic piece kind of incorporates heart, mind, body, spirit,
Mhm.
um, wanting to journey with those seeking to integrate all of that to live wholeheartedly.
Mhm. And was that sort of a discovery for you? Like, I love the holistic approach. Did you, maybe through your own experience and working with people, how did you settle on that, on being a holistic mindset coach?
Yeah, I truly lead women with different trainings and certifications that I've obtained. However, a lot of my journey in getting to this place and having the desire to do this comes from personal experience. and my own journey with being a recovering perfectionist, own journey with connecting with the fact that all of us seem to struggle with something, be it, one form of addiction or another. There is something that when we bump up against a growing edge, we tend to look for something outside of ourselves to deal with it. And in journeying with women in the recovery capacity, throughout the years, in journeying with people as a spiritual companion, we'll say, versus director, I was hopeful to just establish a safe place, a program of sorts for people to journey through, to be able to uncover what is that growing edge? What is it that I'm bumping up against? And again, to do that in an integral way with, all of it, the heart, the mind, the body, the spirit, because it all plays in together and ties in, to
Yeah.
understand what it is. Yeah.
And so maybe you could just say a little bit more about being a certified spiritual director as well. What is your training? How does that come into play with what you do?
Yeah, so I actually will go way back. I grew up Catholic and go
Hmm.
to a small Catholic school. And when I was in my mid 20s, there was a bit of a faith shift for me personally. And I was introduced to a spiritual director. And I myself kind of journeyed through a opportunity of sitting with someone and having someone hold sacred space for me, and what that provided for me personally was an opportunity to connect with my inner knowing, to enhance my own spiritual growth, to journey and uncover and discover and discard that which was serving me and not serving me. And my spiritual director actually went on to find and start a spiritual formation center. And through that, she was offering a course. They were offering a course there on spiritual practices. It was a year-long course. And after going through that, there was a follow-on course to actually become a certified spiritual director. So that was back in 2011 that I went through that course and received that certification. So that began my journey in that realm.
Great. Do you find it difficult at times? Like I do with all these different kinds of training. Like when you are sitting with someone in a companioning situation, do you go, oh, should I coach here? Should I use spiritual direct? Because I find, at least in my training for spiritual direction, it's been to be very, very open and open to spirit, and to allow that to sort of lead the way. Right. I find with coaching, it's a bit more, let's start with what's our objective today? What do you want to talk about? And then try to find some really specific goals. You know, do you ever battle with that in your mind as you're sitting with someone?
I so appreciate that, and definitely do relate. That resonates greatly. And I do believe that it is something that, you kind of wear both hats. And I have started this business and named it Authentic Soul Care. And in doing that, in wearing both hats, there's a program that I designed called Journey to Authenticity. And there's a 6-week, 6-module design to it. And there is a module that's designed to kind of identify your faith stream and to look at a couple of things as to, your own personal journey in that regard. And there is a spiritual direction session offered in that specific module. So in the program that I've designed, I do give people the opportunity for more of the coaching directive, let's unpack these modules together type opportunity, as well as a taste of what spiritual direction is. And honestly, I, again, so appreciate what you're sharing there, because the lines do get blurry. It does, really facilitate stepping back and pausing. And as you said, letting spirit guide and lead in both realms, with my desire to, again, create sacred space for people to make their own connections, even in the coaching piece, in not wanting to provide too much, wanting them to kind of tap into those answers that are already within them.
Yeah, I mean, coaching can be a very spiritual process too, right? Like it's you're still using your intuition, and spirit's probably still your guide, and yeah, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I hadn't warned you about this, but maybe if we could talk a little bit about authenticity. What you bringing up your course, I thought maybe we could talk about that a little bit because authenticity is, it's talked about a lot today, and when you're speaking about authentic soul care, maybe
Mhm.
you can unpack that term for us a little bit.
Sure, I'd be happy to. And again, I'm going to interject with a little bit of personal experience here.
That's
Uh,
great. I love that. I'm glad you're doing
yeah,
that.
I
Please do
was
share stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I was the little girl who wanted to have everything just so and tended to find myself before I could even connect with the fact that I was doing it, maybe being a chameleon of sorts, that if I was with this group, I was going to, show up in a certain way. And if I was with, maybe my parents and their friends, I was going to show up in another way. So I do think that by design, and I'll throw in a little bit of Enneagram. I'm a one with a two wing, and wanting to have that, everything look perfect, wanting to people please, wanting to have everything just so. Um, was something that I do believe facilitated me, maybe at times wearing a mask, not really knowing how I felt about something truly, but just going through the motions or checking the box again to just show up the way that I thought that you wanted me to show up. And through my journey and throughout many, many years and throughout different trainings and certifications and my own, direction as far as, outside therapy at points, yada, 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 I have slowly, the recovery piece has been a big process and part of it for me as well. But I have began to uncover my true self. I have began to take off the mask and to show up authentically and to be able to realize that a lot of other people struggle with this. We all have, perceptions of what do people think of us. We all have those insecurities and desire to belong. And yet, how do we do that but sometimes conform? So, how can we find that inner voice and tap into, you use the word intuition, how can we tap into that inner knowing to really lean into who it is that we're created to be and to show up in each and every situation as our authentic selves, as our true selves?
Hmm. So I think what I hear you saying is that like our authentic true self is more an internal thing, like showing up according to our own uh, values and intuition, and just showing up without the mask, with not showing up trying to impress or be what we think other people think we should be. Is that kind of a good summary of what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Hmm.
And I think the whole, true self, false self comes into play. The
Yeah.
whole self, the shadow self comes into play, and kind of um, wanting to journey with people to help them to identify, resting in that true self place versus putting that mask back on when it's convenient or when we are, in a place of fear or resentment or struggling to be present in the moment.
Mhm. Can you give an example of where maybe in the past you showed up with a mask and maybe today how you would show up more authentically?
Hmm.
That, does anything come to mind?
Yeah, I think the high school years flash before
Yeah,
that.
for all of us, hey?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. And I now have a 14-year-old boy who's a freshman and just kind of entering that realm, and a dear 13-year-old girl and an 11-year-old boy. And, I'm watching them go through their different stages and phases.
Mhm.
And it allows me to reflect on what that time was like for me. And I so wanted to be liked. I so wanted to, um, be thought of in a certain way by not only peers, but, educators and, as I mentioned, my parents and their friends. And so I think that was a place where I was probably lost and confused and, not really knowing how to deal with life on life's terms, and trying to figure it all out. Definitely.
Great. I'm just going to pause here, Leah, because God, can you hear the sound in the background?
I can, yeah.
I'm in an apartment and they must be testing the system or something. So we'll just pause for a sec. How do you feel it's going? You doing okay?
I am. Yes.
Good, good. Hope this ends soon.
No worries.
I think I'm going to ask you um, a question in spite of this going on in the background, and then you can just take it away. I just want to ask you about perfectionism.
Mm.
Um, so you've mentioned perfectionism a couple times and your own struggle, your own battle with us with that. Can you tell us a little bit more about your own journey with perfectionism and how you've grown or overcome it?
Sure, absolutely. I think the first thing that comes to mind when you ask that is that I know for me personally, and a lot of people that I've gotten to speak with who struggle with perfectionistic tendencies, there seems to be a connection to outer order creating internal peace. And I do know too, again, to reflect on, childhood and even the teenage years, that if I could, again, mentioning Catholic school, I would have my uniform laid out the night before, down to the socks and the shoes, and everything would be just so for the next day. And both in a detailed fashion, as far as things being, kind of laid out and set up in a certain way. There's an internal struggle, if you will, with wanting to have everything just so, and again, to appear in a certain way. And it can be debilitating if it's not something that I know for me, I was able to kind of start to release. So it's been a process. It's been a process in realizing that there are things that are out of my control, that there are things that I'm invited to release. There are things that can not be just so, and I still am okay.
So when you're working with people or you see, and what are some of the indications to you, some of the signs, oh, this person's struggling with perfectionism?
Sure, absolutely. And you mentioned my, Instagram page, and Instagram and Facebook have been, a lovely platform to be able to share about a little bit of this work. And I know one of my clients approached me in saying that she, as a young 30-year-old mama with a 2-year-old, really struggles when she's being beckoned, mama play, mama, sit with me, mama, whatever, that, she sees the dishes. She knows the laundry hasn't been folded yet. She sees, some things scattered on the floor and has a literal internal struggle in, I can't do this yet because I need to get these other things done first. That would be, something that I know that one of my clients kind of came to me to, that it gets in the way of relationships. It gets in the way of being seen and seeing other people because of the focus on, having to have everything just so.
Does practicing being in the present moment help with that? That's kind of dawns on me, kind of surfaces for me that you're looking at the dishes and instead of just being present with your child. And I can see how that would be a struggle where you've got, oh, this isn't done, this is left undone. Does that come into play?
Absolutely. Mindfulness is one of the great tools that I, work with others in trying to introduce them to, or to try to encourage them to continue to practice if it's something that they've already connected with. But coming back to presence, coming back to the breath, and being able to pause and being able to get in touch with what is literally happening in my body right now. I know for me, it's a tensing in my gut, that I know that there's that internal struggle. And that's an invitation. That's an invitation to do just that, to pause, to breathe, to often put my hand on my heart and say, right here, right now, I'm okay. And how do I want to show up to this situation? Because there is an invitation in it. There is an opportunity for growth in it. Again, mine aren't two anymore, but a child beckoning me, mom, come out and look at me do this skateboard trick in the cul-de-sac. And I'm like, yeah, wait a minute, I need to, da 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 da. There's going to be a day when this 11-year-old doesn't ask me to do that. So can I lean in? And having practiced mindfulness regularly facilitates me being able to lean into those moments, to set aside that which is of lesser importance, to focus on the relationship. Yeah, at the time.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because I'm a mindful person or what, but I feel like my biggest regret with raising my kids is that I wasn't more present. That, like you say, those moments of that will never come again. Of I had two girls, so now I see. I really, it always moves me when I see girls in the playground or whatever, or people, a grandfather obviously walking with a granddaughter or whatever, and I just kind of go, I kind of pine for those days. Those were really special days. Yeah, so I kind of miss that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Leah Grove as much as I did. As I mentioned during our conversation, she's got a great Instagram account. And if you want to find out more, it's at Leah_Grove, Grove, and another underscore symbol. She has lots of sayings and stuff like that, but true to form, it's very authentic. And I regularly enjoy what she has to post there. And then to find out more about Leah, you can go to her website at authenticsoulcare.com, and you can find out how to work with Leah, and you can receive 13 journaling prompts for free. So you'll see, when you go to her website, you'll see a link for that. I think it is entitled, I actually have her website open here, Your Free Authenticity Journal. So thank you, Leah, for joining us today, and thank you for listening.